calculators. All right, guys, we're going to start with some work on hip flexors. Partly just because it's something I've been working on a little bit, but also just it's a nice one to always get through. And they've been flaring up a bit with all the skiing, so get into a little bit of hip flexor work because I always neglect it. Oh, Lucy's disappeared. Oh well, we'll see if she jumps back on again. I'll leave the persistence bit open. So we're going to start off. We're going to do these hip flexor ones as through breaths. So we're going to do 20 breaths on each side for each of these. Okay. So we'll start off with just a standing variant. So we're going to come into standing position, and what we're going to do is we're going to set up our feet so that we've got we go up on the toe on the rear foot. Okay? So you're up on all toes, and I want you to try and put weight through all 5 toes. Okay, so you're really engaged in there. And then on the front foot, come up on the toe there as well. And from there, with that rear glute, squeeze the glute as hard as you can, and I want you to try and tuck your ribs down. From here, you should feel like you're starting to get stretch in the front of the hip here. If you want to push it a little bit further, then squeeze your bum basically as hard as you can, and just chill here. All right, you're going to do 20 breaths, nice and slow, in and out, keeping the ribs down, up on those toes, and pushing through the back toes as hard as you can. And just focusing on squeezing that rear glute. And keeping your ribs tucked down. Really squeeze your bum as hard as you can, keep those ribs down, even thinking about sort of your chest kind of rounding slightly forwards. As long as you're keeping your ribs tucked down, you're squeezing your bum as hard as you can. Once you get 20 nice long breaths, you're going to ease off there, switch around to the other side. And again, we'll come up on the rear toes first. I want you to try and get that pressure through all 5 toes. And then from there, come up on the toes in the front leg, and then squeeze your bum cheek on the side with the trailing leg. Squeeze as hard as you can, tuck your ribs down, and then 20 breaths there. You can add a little bit of twist towards your front leg, and you can kind of work through that as you go. Squeeze as hard as you can, keep the head coming forward, keep your ribs down. Once you get 20 breaths, we'll come out of that one. Okay, this time we're going to come down and we're going to go into a similar kind of thing, but we're going to be kneeling. Okay, so we're going to come down into just a 90 degree kneel here. Okay, so we're 90. From there, all we're going to do is, first of all, keep the ribs down, and then we're going to squeeze our bum cheek on that side, and you will not necessarily get that far forward. We're not looking to just like collapse. We want to try and keep rib cage down, and then from there, squeeze your bum as hard as you can. And we're going to again take 20 breaths in this position. You can even put your arms on that front knee. Doesn't really matter too much. We just want to make sure that we're forward and we're not overextending in our back. So squeezing that bum cheek as hard as you can and hang out here. And again, you can put a slight twist, so you're trying to show that the front of your hip towards that front knee. Just keep squeezing nice and hard through that side. And as you breathe out, squeeze hard so you can get a little bit further forward. Really make sure you're tucking your chest down, squeezing hard on that back glute. And just a nice slow 20 breaths. Once you've hit the end of those 20 breaths, come back out, swap sides. And again, just thinking about tucking your ribs down first, and then from there, squeeze the glute on the back leg. Try not to sit up too proud, because this doesn't really increase the stretch. You want to just try and round your ribs down, then squeeze your glute even harder. Chris, you've gone for the full head shave now that the heat's come up, haven't you?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's topical now, doesn't it?
It does. It was actually like the day before the -16 when I actually shaved it off.
All right.
Quite a few hats on that day.
Make sure you're really rounding the back, not extending up and sitting too tall. Round the back, tighten the ribs down. You can even think about it like a dead bug or a hollow you want to hold there, whilst you squeeze the glute on the trailing leg.
Rounded back, that's my speciality.
Oh, I know. I was like, I've got one for Chris tonight. All right, once you've done 20 breaths there, we'll come up out of that one. This time we're going to do rear foot elevated. So I'm going to use this chair over here. But what we're going to do is we are going to come up into a nice long lunge with that rear foot elevated. And all we're going to do is think about, again, tighten those ribs down so that you're not extending out with your chest like this. Tighten the ribs down. And then from there, we're going to push with the back foot into the chair. So I'm trying to crush that chair down towards the ground. And I'm really pushing down there, squeezing my bum, and pushing with the top of my foot down into that chair. And what you're going to do is you're going to do 20 breaths. Each time you breathe in, you're going to push with that foot down as hard as you can. And then you're going to release as you breathe out. Okay, so you're going to go for 20 pulses with that effectively. So that rear foot up, nice long lunge. You can make it as long as you want. The more you step it out, the harder it's going to be a little bit. But once you get out there, you're going to, as you breathe in, squeeze your bum and really push down on that surface with the rear foot as hard as you can. So we're going to do 20 reps there. And if you want to make it a little bit harder, you can lunge down. So once you're in this position, you squeeze in there, come down lower and push down, squeezing that rear glute, pushing down into the chair, lower down on that leg, and you can hang out down here and just let that hip flexor ease off as you go. Twenty nice big strong breaths, using your breath as you inhale to squeeze a little bit harder, and then as you exhale, relax down into it a bit more. And once you've done 20 breaths on one side, we're going to swap to the other side. Then if you feel like you're getting into that, you can start to lower down. So bend that front knee a little bit more, lower down into it, and then push the surface that your rear foot's on down towards the ground. Squeeze your glute, keep the ribs tucked. Nice work, guys. Lucy's doing a magic zoom trick where she disappears but then reappears without having to readmit her. I'm not really sure how that works, but she's doing a good job with it. There, back again. Once you've done 20 breaths on each side, we'll just come down to the ground. We're going to get on to a little bit of work with the cross ball. So if you got the cross ball there, grab that. And I'm assuming Lucy is following along because she's frozen in a questioning look. What we're going to do is we're just going to put our leg out to the side. So we've got one leg straight behind us, other one pointing out to the side at 90 degrees. I'm going to come around a little bit. Sort of like that. So my left leg pointing straight behind me, right leg up at 90 degrees. From there, I'm just going to place the ball just on the inside of my leg. And then I'm going to try and lie my hips straight down to the ground. From there, I'm just going to move my knee up and down so that ball rolls across the inside of the thigh. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take 2 minutes to go up the thigh. So we're going to start at the bottom, just above the knee. And we're just going to take 2 minutes, moving that knee up and down to roll that lacrosse ball across the fibers of the muscle, running between our knee and the inside of our hip or groin. So these are our adductors. So we can use that technique of just rolling across. If you find a particularly tight spot, you can try and tense the muscle and then just relax down onto it a little bit more.
Sorry, our internet's shocking tonight.
Yeah, you keep disappearing but then reappearing. I'm quite impressed. Once you get up to about mid-thigh, then you might find that you're not able to get as much contact or pressure. That's fine. Just work on that lower half of the adductor. You can try lifting your foot up off the ground, so kind of rotating your upper leg, and that'll increase the pressure that you got through there. All right, and then we'll come up, and we'll swap sides. So again, stretch one leg right out behind you. So nice long leg, and then other leg comes up at 90 degrees to the body. I'm just gonna try and then rotate round so our chest is flat on the ground, and try and get your hips square to the ground as well. And we're gonna then just do 2 minutes again, just starting from just above the knee, just moving the knee up and down.
Have we moved to the other side?
Yeah, we just swapped to the other side there, Lucy.
Okay, cool.
You might find that if you try and extend the leg, you increase the pressure. I'm just going to go through extending and flexing the lower leg at the knee. Just as you go, every sort of 10, 20 seconds, move up by a centimeter or so. Just see if you can find another spot that feels like it needs a bit of tension. If you want to increase the pressure at all, if you squeeze your bum on the side that you have got the ball on, it'll push your hip down closer to the ground and just increase the pressure on the ball. All right, and then we'll come up from that one. All right, and we're going to just put the lacrosse ball into the hamstring. So from the side, I'm going to just start high on the hamstring there, place the ball underneath, and then I'm going to straighten that leg. And then I want to just try and get a little bit of tension by pushing myself more upright on my hands. And then I'm going to just move my legs side to side and try and get through there. You can move a little bit rocking so you can support yourself on your hands and just kind of work side to side on there. You can also try and stretch across it. So if you try and reach down to your toes whilst you've got the pressure of the ball underneath the hamstring and try and get into some work there. So put both legs in front and then fold forwards and then just move that leg side to side, just kind of floss the ball across the hamstring. You can move it down, just get through a little bit more of that. Find a spot that needs it and then just stretch across with the ball pressing into the muscle. And just kind of think about just pulling the muscle across the ball. You might find you got little corners on the inside or outside. So if you turn your foot out to like 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock, you might find some little corners of the hamstring that need a little bit more. Just spend some time there and then just oscillate back and forth. All right, then we'll swap sides. Just start on the high hamstring. And just a slight forward fold with the ball under the hamstring and then try on either side by turning your toe out, tick-tocking it like a metronome between either side. Just working down through that single leg until you get to just above the back of the knee. Just working through all of that. And then we're going to pop up. And we're going to come into a wide stance. So come into a wide stance, and then from there, just reach your hands forward and your hips as far back as you can. So really reaching your bum for the wall behind you, reach your hands as far forward as you can. Keeping your back as flat as possible. Take a big breath in, let's breathe out, push your hips further back. Do 5 big strong breaths there. Reaching your hips back every time a little bit further, keeping your back really flat. End of the 5th breath, we're just going to fold forwards and just let our arms dangle down and just hang on the tissue a little bit so it feels like you're hanging on those hamstrings. And we're just going to camp out here. Just letting your head fall heavy. Keeping the hips back. Let yourself dangle towards the ground. From there, we're going to walk our hands across to our left foot. Then walk our hands across to our right foot. And then back to the center. You can cross your arms if your arms are already at the ground. And then slowly we're just going to bend the knees, come back up. And then we're just going to take that wide stance for the feet again. And then again, just thinking about hips behind, hands forwards. 5 big strong breaths. Pushing your hips back as you breathe out. And then just hang to the center again. And then just kind of twisting, just a figure of 8. Hanging here. Bend your knees and come back up to middle. And then we're just going to finish off with an ostrich walk. So for this one, our feet are roughly together, okay? From here, I'm going to forward bend to try and keep my legs as straight as possible. And then from there, I'm going to take a step forward. I'm going to try and keep my legs as straight as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 50 steps of an ostrich walk. So 1, 2, and I'm just going to keep going through like that until I build up 50 steps. And with each one, you're trying to keep those legs as straight as possible without the knees bent. And just tap the hands down on each one. Okay, so start off there.
Same hand, same foot, or opposite hand, opposite foot?
Yeah, I do opposite. Really be trying to push those legs to straight the whole way through. Once you've hit 50, that is us.
Thank you.
Nice job, guys. Lucy, you look like you're mid-hair flip right there. All right. Awesome work, guys. That was nice to work on some hamstring stuff and hip flexors. I'll post this one up on the group if anyone wants to revisit it at all.
Good. Thank you very much.
Have an awesome evening.